Hey everyone, welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of The Voicebox, the official podcast of the IHS Voice. This episode, we're going to have Rosalyn, one of our staff writers, interview Sunny Wang, a financial advisor who's been offering professional financial services for over 2 decades. This conversation is going to be about personal finance, how high school students can and should be educated about finance, and other tips for life in general. Stay tuned till the end of the episode to get all the advice you can, and hope you enjoy.
Hi, Sunny. Welcome to the Voicebox. Glad to have you on the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for
I'm good
having me
too.
here.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't you start off with just giving a little introduction about your work and your experience with personal finance and how you ended up on this career path in the first place?
Sure. So I'm a financial advisor, and my company's name is Essence Wealth and Insurance Services, and I've been doing this for a little over 20 years now. Started off when I was still in college. Actually, I was an intern when I started the career, and I started an internship with an insurance company. And eventually, when I graduated from college, I became a full-time advisor at the time, and then I was working with this company for about a total of 9 years, and I left for another company. I joined a startup firm, financial, service startup firm, as a managing partner to help my partner to recruit and manage and coach, new advisors and continue to, help clients as well, at the time. So, but then after 2 years, I decided to just focus on helping clients with their financial needs. So that's what I've been doing since then.
Okay. So what would you like to describe what exactly your job is as a financial advisor? So what types of people typically come to you and how do you, or what are typically their goals and what are your goals for your clients?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I do get a lot of clients coming to me for all types of financial needs. And everybody's different. Everyone has different goals, and they're in different situations, financial situations. So a lot of them are coming to me for general financial planning questions, like how do I better organize my finance? How do I improve my savings, investment and retirement savings, and growing my money, and tax planning. A lot of people coming to me for tax planning, especially in this area, in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. A lot of the high income earners that work for high tech companies. So a lot of my clients are engineers. So they're coming to me for all types of reasons.
Wow, okay. So let's see. What are some of your most proudest accomplishments throughout your career, or has there been one client that has stood out to you and how you've been able to help them?
Oh, that's I have helped so many people, throughout my career. I've talked to tens of thousands of people. So
Wow.
So I have a few hundred clients, about 400 or 500 clients myself, so. And it's kind of hard to say, there's one particular one that stands out, but just I can tell you there's story that I can tell you that it's interesting for if we're talking about investing money and things like that. I remember there's a client that came to me back in 2012 and he had a little bit of money in his IRA, and I took over, and now that IRA is 4 times larger than what he had before. So that shows, I like to tell the story to clients because I want to demonstrate, how powerful compound interest is. And this is important to know for especially young people like yourself, and trying to learn how to invest money, right? How to grow your money. And money is not going to sit there grow by yourself, right? You have to put it to work. And you can't work 24/7 a day, but your money can. And this is the result, after, just 9 years, and his money is quadrupled. So you see the power of growing your money, compounded interest, right? So
It sounds like you really love like helping people with their finances, watching them grow. Is that like your favorite part of your job, essentially?
yeah, absolutely. So it's not just growing their money, but also helping people, resolving their debt issues. Because some people will come to me, they have a ton of debt, and they don't know how to get out of it, and they're coming to me for solutions on how to get out debt quickly. I have helped a lot of clients, getting out of debt, sooner than they anticipated. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of debt, so we all know like students and college, like the tuition is getting increasingly expensive. And then a lot of students just leave college with a lot of debt. So like what would be your general advice for these kinds of people? Like how they can get started on either repaying or like at least having some background knowledge about what to do afterwards?
That's also a very good question, because I often have clients coming to me. They're graduate students, and they graduated with a ton of debt. And they're sometimes you will see like $200,000-300,000 in debt, and it's even though they're making good income, but based on what they make, it's still going to take them very long time to pay that off. And along with that, they have other financial goals, right? Buying a home, starting a family, retire, saving for retirement, saving for kids' education, things like that. So, what I've noticed is that sometimes people graduate with a lot of debt, but they're not making as much. I don't know if they knew how much they were going to make. So that's even going to take them longer, to pay off the debt, because their income's not enough. So one thing I do want to mention to high school students is that when you pick a major, in college, you definitely want to think about the future. How much debt are you going to have, when you graduate? How long is it going to take you to pay off the debt? And is there a forgiven program? Because sometimes if you work for a certain, I think, public, like a governmental, a nonprofit organization or something, for like 10 years or something, and then a portion of the student loan will be forgiven. Okay, so these things are very important to know. It's not let's deal with after I graduate. No, you deal with now. You crunch the numbers, and you figured out how long that's going to take you to pay that off. And you need to know, based on the major you picked, in this industry, how much potential income you're going to make. So, you can quickly pay off the debt, right? And there are all kinds of, student loans out there too. There's subsidized loans, if you qualify financially based on your, family's income, your income, or your assets, your family's assets. And that's usually a government loan, that's, in the form of almost like a financial aid. And there's unsubsidized loans, which is a private loan. Usually interest rates much higher. And, think about this, and since 2008, we've been in the lowest interest rate environment, in the history of the US. But I've seen, people are still paying 8-9%. 7-8-9% in student loan interest rate. And how does that make sense, right? So even government loans, subsidized loans, they're still paying like 3 or 4%. So yeah, these loans are really slowing people down, from achieving their financial goals in the future. So.
Yeah, so you mentioned compound interest. So like could you like describe what compound interest is to someone that has zero background knowledge on like anything related to it?
Yes, absolutely. So, there are two types of interest, right? There's a simple interest and there's compound interest. So let's use an example, a simple example. You deposit $100 in the bank, okay? And the bank says, we have two options. We can pay you on a simple interest, let's say 1%, okay, simple interest, or compounded 1%. So what that really means is that if it's a simple interest, the first year you get $1 as an interest rate. It's interest earning, right? In the next year, you're gonna get $1 again. Okay, so if you continue to leave your money there, you just every year you're gonna get $1. Okay, that's simple interest. Now, compound interest is that first year you get $1, and then next year they're gonna pay you 1% based on $101, not $100. Okay, and then next year after that it's $101 more, right? So 1% is based on the new value, right? So that's compounded interest. You see how that can go up very quickly, right?
Yeah. Like it seems like compound interest is like a lot better for the person that is investing in it. So why would anyone ever pick simple over compound?
Well, because sometimes people just don't know, right?
Okay.
Honestly, you asked this question. I've had adults, ask me the same question: what's the difference between a compound and a simple interest? That tells me, how much people really know about, finance, and people really ought to get to know about percentage. When you invest money, it's not just about, okay, I made $5,000. Well, if you had $1 million to begin with, you only made it $5,000. That means it's only 5%, right? So, but if you invested at $10,000, but you got $15,000 back, that's 50%, right? So you have to look at the percentage. That's one thing. Most people don't think about. They only think about in dollar amount, not percentage.
Yeah. Okay. So we basically, this is kind of obvious, but we were talking about how high schools, like they don't really prepare their students or just people in general for finance. Like, could you give like some of your thoughts about that, or like how you think that things should change?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so glad that you asked that question, and as in the email I mentioned that this is something that I've always wanted to do. This is the first opportunity I've gotten. So thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, no
because
problem.
so I've always wanted to teach kids about finances and business. Okay, it is so important. I have so many adults coming to me that have no clue about finance, financial planning. Like I said, even simple interest versus compound interest. So how can they better manage their finance when they grow up, right? When they get into the real world, this is impossible. So I feel like there's a need. There's a need that our school system needs to mandate these classes to teach the realistic stuff, the real life knowledge that eventually you are going to use in when you graduate from college. Things like how do you pay your bills, right? How do you manage how do you keep up with your credit scores, debts, how do you not get into debt, right? And how do you grow your money? So when people ask me what I do, I tell people I help people to save, grow, protect, and enjoy their money. Okay. So you need to know all of those, right? You need to know, how do you save? Well, first of all, you need to learn how to make money. That's the business aspect, right? So you need to learn how to negotiate, interview, in a job interview or something, negotiate for a higher salary or something, right? And then you need to learn how to, okay, now I'll make $100,000 a year. How much do I need to save, right? What is my cash flow? What is my budget? How much of that, surplus I can put away for, something like buying a home in 5 years or for long-term retirement, right? So, and then, how do I grow? How do I grow the money, right? Where do I put my money so my money will grow compound? right? Faster than simple interest. And risk, we have to learn about risk, how much risk is the right amount of risk I should take at this age for this goal, right? I need to set my financial goals, long-term, short-term, mid-term goals, and protect, insurance or taxes. How does it sometimes, for a lot of wealthy clients, not about how much they make anymore. It's about how much they keep, right? Taxes, is huge in this area, and it's going up in the future, right? Yeah. And they enjoy their money. Very important. People, I can tell you, so many clients come to me that they forget to enjoy their money. They don't know how. Okay, all they've been taught, it was to make money and save, maybe grow, but not the protection or the the enjoying part. I've met all kinds of people that that have all kinds of different issues. So
yeah, it's very strange too. Like, I was also talking about this with my our journalist advisor. We were wondering, why don't we mandate finance classes? And he hypothesized that maybe there was someone benefiting off of people not knowing that much about finance. So that's why. But that sounds so. What are your thoughts about this? Or do you think there's necessarily a reason why there's no finance mandatory?
Yeah, that's that's an interesting thought. I was just thinking about that, as I was talking earlier. It's funny you brought that up. Of course we don't know. But think about this though, who benefits from people being in debt? Who do you think benefits from that?
Government?
No. The government's in debt too. So they're not.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they're in debt, so they don't know how to manage money either. So, the people that have a lot of credit card debts, okay, who do you think is making all that money?
The banks.
Exactly. You know how much interest they charge? People. Do you know how much they charge?
My mom touched on it. She said it was never worth it. That's all I remember.
Yeah. It's anywhere between if you get a 12, 13, 15% interest, that's good actually.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've seen 20, 30%. Okay. Think about that. Compounded, by the way. You just learned how compound interest works, right?
Yeah.
How can they ever get out of debt? That's not possible, right? So, they can't even make that much in the stock market or invest in the business, right? So once you get into debt, it's very hard to get out of it. They keep you in debt, okay? So that's why, that's the first thing I look at, when someone has credit card debts, that's the first thing I tell them that, don't ever owe any credit card debts, okay? Because that's the worst debt you can have. So, if you ask me who benefits, the banks, so that's why they do it. That's why they do it. They give you incentive to spend money. They give you rewards and things like that. Smart people, they don't ever owe credit cards. They take advantage, the rewards, and then they never pay anything in interest.
Wow. Okay. So I guess on the topic of banks, could you discuss more in detail about credit score and necessarily how to improve that, and maybe describe what it is if people don't understand that?
Yeah. So credit scores, basically, it's a way for the institutions, to know, to evaluate, what kind of, how, if they should trust this person, if they should lend the money to this person. Right. If they should, let them borrow money, so because they don't know you, they can only base off on, something, right? Your credit history. A lot of people will tell you that, you should open up a credit card, start spending money on it, and they start buying things, and get a loan, like a car loan or something, Yes, once you start buying things, you have a credit history. Okay. And then, they can run your credit report to see, how have you done? Have you been late on your payments? Right. How much do you owe? How much is your credit balance? That's how they evaluate how much risk this person has, so they can decide, how much interest rate they should charge you and how much loan they should give it to you. Okay. So a lot of times people making a mistake that, they cancel credit because, after a while they owe a bunch of money on the credit card. They hate credit card companies, and they're scared of them too. So what they do, they cancel them, right? Don't do that. Don't cancel your credit cards because, that credit card has your credit history. If you cancel it, then, they can't see your credit history, right? So it's good that, if you, let's say you get a loan, borrow money to buy a car or even student loans or something, these all build up your credits, as long as you, pay your payments on time, you're not late for these payments. Sometimes, hard inquiries, will affect your credit as well. What that means is that, let's say if you want to open up a credit card and they have to check your credit. Okay. So when they check your credit, it drops your credit by a certain percentage. Okay. Some points. So that's called a hard inquiry. When you purchase a car, when you buy a home, those are all hard inquiries. You don't want to go through that all the time. Okay. So yeah. So build your, by purchasing stuff, spending money, you will build up your credit, history, but make sure pay it off every month. Don't owe anything.
Okay. I guess the next topic we could talk about is stocks, because that is like, it seems to be becoming like a bigger thing. I know like a lot of my friends have started talking about like, oh, I bought this stock and it raised this percent. Could you just start off with like the basics of essentially what is a stock and like how do you even buy stocks?
Yeah. So it's pretty simple, actually. It's not as complicated as a lot of people think. Stocks is basically a way that you can invest, in a company. You have a piece of ownership of the company. So, for example, Facebook. Facebook is a public traded company. So you can only, most time you can only buy stock in a public traded company. Okay. Sometimes you can buy private company stocks too, but let's not get into that. So once the company goes IPO, okay, initial public offering. So like Facebook used to be a private company. So most people wouldn't be able to buy Facebook stocks, okay, until Facebook went IPO. Okay. So now their stocks is being traded, sold, exchanged on the stock exchange. Okay. So there are different stock exchanges like Dow Jones, there's, like NASDAQ, so some of these stocks are, being traded in these stock exchanges. So a person like us, we can open up a brokerage account. Okay. With, a lot of these online brokerage accounts nowadays, any of those are good, like E-Trade or TD Ameritrade, or the most recent one that went public called Robinhood, you can buy stocks, through these brokerage, companies, and you can trade them. You can buy and sell, okay, these stocks, all throughout the day until 1 p.m. Pacific time. Market closes. You can buy, sell anymore. There's aftermarket you can trade as well. We don't have to get into that, but then the market opens again next day. Then you can buy again. So if you buy, let's say, one share of Facebook, right? And right now it's about $380 some a share. So, and basically you own, one share of Facebook. Your owner, that's your ownership, and that's based on the percentage of how many shares that's outstanding, that you can own, that Facebook issued. Okay, say 1 billion or something, or 100 million or something. Your one share is a percentage of that. So. That's kind of, how it works, right? You're participating, in the company. If the company does well, then the share price goes up, and then you make money, right? If you sell it, you realize the gain. If you continue to hold it, it's just a paper. So, you don't lose or gain, until you sell it. So, Yeah.
Oh, when do you think people should, or do you even think that high schoolers should start investing in like long-term stocks, like for example, Google or an Apple stock?
Yeah. So when, that's a
Because
it's a
I heard
difficult
like some
question.
people are like, oh, you should do it as soon as possible, and other people are like, oh, you can like wait until like a little bit old, until you're like a little bit older. So like, what's your take on this?
Well, I will say it doesn't matter, how old you are. It doesn't matter. Like, of course, you should, it should be a little bit of, you shouldn't be like, too young to be buying, the stocks. You don't know what you're doing. And, there's a lot of risk involved, so you could lose money, on investing. I will say, these days, there are a lot of apps, that allows you to simulate, trading, right? So you don't have to use real money. You can start with that first, and I think it doesn't matter when, it's whenever you are interested, you wanted to get into it and start learning about it. I wouldn't tell clients, people to just jump into, that never had any experience, to just jump into it. That's not good. So I
Oh,
think you
that's
definitely want to learn first. Yeah.
Oh, that's like kind of the opposite of what I've heard. Because like a lot of people that I've asked, they're just like, okay, just like quickly invest in Google because that'll you'll obviously like get a lot of profit when you're like 40, 50 years old, and then when you sell it again. So what would you say to
Yeah.
like that kind of?
Right. So you can, if you invest with some of these big companies, like Google, Facebook, and Apple, in the long term, if you don't trade it, some people trade these stocks, they do day trading or something. Then the potential, making money is definitely pretty high. You should still, definitely like diversify the portfolio, not just hold on to one stock. You should have some stocks, from different industries, sectors, to reduce your risk, right? But yeah, you can definitely hold on to just a few stocks, for long term and not to trade it. And potentially you can make money, especially some stocks pay dividends like Apple. Apple is the large cap company. They pay some dividends. So what dividend is basically, it's a way the company to reward their shareholders, by holding on to their stocks. So say if the dividends are 2%, so they pay you 2% every share you own, right? That's kind of like an income too. So it's like a deposit money in the bank. You get interest. So you're rewarded to hold on to these stocks. Some companies don't pay. Okay, so that helps with the growth too if you hold it for long term.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's move on to the next topic. So I did briefly mention that we were going to talk about like internships and jobs and those kind of things. So would you like to give like some general advice to high schoolers about like if you should even do internships or how helpful they are for their future careers?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that I started my career as an intern, and I'm a big proponent, to for internship. I think every school student should get a internship if they can. I happen to get lucky to join this company. Start this internship. And which is the beginning of my career. So it was a paid internship as well because I was there was no salary. No hourly salary. But I was getting paid on commissions, so there are a lot of internships, you work for free. That's okay too. Depends on what you're interested in, so you can work for startups or something, and money, if you're not really, in need for money, and working for free, it's okay as long as you get that experience. But, a paid internship, you would be even better, so like I said, I enjoyed my internship time, and I got to make decent amount of money while I was going to college. So I think an internship is a great idea.
Yeah, and I heard that internships can also help you like grow a lot of connections, which is also something really important for jobs. Like, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've heard quite a few people that done that. I remember I have a good friend of mine. His brother, when he was going to college or something, he was interning with Yahoo. Yeah, and he gained a lot of experiences. And I think he was also getting paid as well. So when he graduated, I think he turned full time there, and later he changed jobs and so. But he's doing really well. So so those internships, yes, I mean, here's the thing, right? So making connections is probably even more important than making money at that age, especially when you go to school. If you go to school, that is the best time to make connections. Okay, so at that time, you're just hanging out, you're having a good time, and you're partying with your friends, and there's no purpose like, oh, I want to make some money, or I mean, this person will make me some money, or there's no such thought yet, right? You just really just enjoying each other's company, having a good time. So that is the best time to bond, genuinely, and without any intention behind it. So, so I think a lot of times, of course, parents don't like their kids party all the time. I mean, yes, it's not good, if you party all the time. I mean, but if you're out there really, making contacts with people, and to keep these contacts, that is very important going forward. Because you never know who these people will become, right? And also, of course, if you work for a company, and if you have a connection with your boss, the people that work there, and the managers, yeah, those will be wonderful connections for you in the future for your career.
That was a really good response.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's just about all the questions that I have. Would you like to say any like closing notes, or is there anything that we didn't really touch on that you want to elaborate more on?
I think we covered a lot of stuff today, but I wanted to just mention that, if you're listening, if you're in high school, college, or middle school, whatever, it's never too early to start learning about finance. Sooner or later, you're gonna have to deal with it, right? You're gonna have to pay bills. You're gonna have to learn how to save for retirement. You're going to have to learn how taxes work. And you're going to have to learn all that sooner or later. So educate yourself on that. Start learning early, and start save, grow, protect, enjoy your money, and learn about, money, everything about money. Like, I'm not saying in a way that, it's all about life is about money. It's quite the opposite. What is your philosophy when it comes to money, right? So at this age, you should have some kind of idea, how do you look at money? What do you want your money to do for you, right? Life is not just about, money. We weren't born with it. We're not going to die with it. It's important. It's very important, but it's not everything. Okay. So I still believe that, you should follow your passion, if you're, trying to figure out what major you want to, choose, or a career path or something. You might not know completely, and that is okay. At this age, it's absolutely okay that you don't know. You have to go out there, experience it, maybe get a couple jobs, and really experience, what you really like, right? And ask yourself, and what you're interested in, right? Passion is important. I do believe that, and if you have the right amount of passion, and the drive, the discipline, and the knowledge, and you will do well in anything you do. So it really doesn't matter whether you become an artist, or singer, or a business owner, or politician, whatever it is, right? And you're going to do well with that kind of passion, and discipline, right? So, but the basic stuff is to learn about, how do you manage that money, you're going to earn. And, and that's important, I think. So start young.
Yeah, that's some really good advice. Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of the Voicebox. I hope that our listeners got as much value as they did out of this conversation as I did. Is there anything like final words that you want to say, or is that just about covers it?
I think that should be it, and also that, obviously, in the future, if, they can get because it's very complex, nowadays the financial world is very complex, they need guidance as well. So don't be shy to ask for help, right? You can't do everything on your own, right? So, that's what we're here for, financial advisors is here to guide people through this, financial maze, So ask for help is another thing. Leverage your time, so you can focus on things that you like to do, right? Instead of just doing this, you can learn about it. You should have the basic knowledge about it, but at some point, get professional help. This is definitely a good idea.
Again, thank you so much for coming. That was Sunny Wang, a professional financial advisor, and thank you guys so much for listening to the Voicebox. We'll hopefully hear you guys next time.